All right, we want to get down to discussing with our panelists already here in studio to take us through some of the issues that were, of course, in politics last week and, of course, projecting what is ahead of this week as well. Allow me to introduce to you our panelists who are already here in studio with us. We have Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, who is a Member of Parliament from Daragwa, also the Chair of COC. We have with us also Senator Samuel Pogisho from West Pokot. Also, we do have with us David Makali, who is the head of content, Radio Africa, and the Star newspaper. We do have with us as well Dr. Eseli Simiyu, who is a Member of Parliament from Tongeren. And we have with us as well Farah Maalim, who is the Deputy Leader of the Wiper Party. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning to you.
Right. I would just want us to begin with the Daily Nation, on what is on the front page of the Daily Nation, because I was a bit worried as well. And maybe you can pass me the Daily Nation that we have here. The one I have is on Sunday. We don't have a soft copy, so I'll just show you that what we have as the hard copy. Jubilee MPs fight State House gag. That is what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation. If my cameraman may just pan on it so that you can see it clearly. It says Uhuru and Ruto have boxed their allied members of parliament into a corner with numerous orders and instructions from the presidency. And now the embers of a quiet fury inside the chambers are bursting into flames that could burn out of control. This story as well also is tucked away on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And we have a flagger on top there reading politics. Rebel member accuses Kenyatta and his deputy Ruto of communist tendencies. So I want just to begin with Honorable Jeremiah Kioni to tell us this morning, have you defied any order? Because we saw from some of the dailies that, yes, Jubilee members have been gagged not to attend any media functions or any talk shows. So you and Senator Pogisho, are you in defiance?
Well, I'm not aware of any order. And I think I should have started by saying good morning to you, Debarl, over a long time, and my colleagues and our viewers, and say that I am not aware of any order, and I don't think we have had any order from Jubilee gagging us from speaking. In any case, if you are an elected person or member of any assembly, any organization, you are elected to go and speak. So we speak perhaps in an organized manner, but we still speak, and we are speaking, and we are here to speak. Yes.
All right, let's hear from Senator Pogisho.
No, I agree, and I've
So
already...
there's no order at all?
No, there's no order. I mean, you would have all seen the order. You haven't seen the order. So if there's an order, you would have seen it. And I think that, like my colleague has said, we are elected to represent people, and opportunities to represent them are available in the media. And so we do speak. We do speak to the media. I don't think anyone has said that we should not speak to the media. Actually, the controversies about live TV or live broadcast, that's the best way for us to pass our messages. In any case, it would be a one-sided show if we didn't participate.
All right, one-sided show. Let's hear from David Makali. Where did we pick these headlines? Of course, this was also from a Star, and today we can see Jubilee MPs fight State House gag. This is on the front page of the Daily Nation.
Well, I'm worried because I might be boxed for voicing a contrary opinion. But speaking from the perspective of the press, these stories are not without foundation. In fact, we at the Star reported this story a while back. And the truth is that what Honorable Kioni is saying is organized speech. Yes, speaking in an organized manner is just a euphemism for the sort of controls which exist within the Jubilee Party right now. And we talk to these members, and many of them don't want to speak on record. So why would they not want to speak on record and on public affairs which would not need any censure? So there is a bit of controlled communication or speech within the party for reasons that the public should begin to wonder about.
Right. Let's hear from Honorable Dr. Eseli. It's been a while
Yes, it's been a while.
Karibu.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I wouldn't want to comment about what Jubilee is doing to its members. However, I recall that some of the Jubilee leaders have been advocating for a benevolent dictatorship. So I think being gagged from the media is just part of that, but without the benevolence.
So are we seeing a sort of foot on the neck sort of leadership from Jubilee? From what we saw with, you know, the appointment of the chairman from the committees, where we had 4 MPs, you know, starkly denying that they will, you know, back off from their chairmanship, and of course the better hand of Jubilee, you know, leaders prevailed against them. Let's say from Farah Maalim, or I think Honorable Kioni.
Let me help Farah get some meat into this by saying, you know, when you look at the appointment or the election of chairs, whichever way you want to look at it, if we had allowed as a party for the individuals who wanted to share those positions to take them, then you'll end up with one county taking all the slots in the country because they have the numbers. And then we will be here defending the position of non-inclusiveness. So when you come up with a way of ensuring that the whole country is involved in the management of the affairs, then you come up with another statement that you are being gagged. But I fully support the issue of the sharing of slots among for committees among members. And if that was not done, given that there are areas with fewer members of parliament, you are likely to just have these chairs of committees coming from just one region. And if there is any other way of then showing that you are totally in exclusion of others, I do not think there is another better way. And I also don't think it was good for these members to also demonstrate that if they really wanted to just do it like we vote and we go there, they'll still have gotten their way. But the fact that, and many of them would say, we just wanted to show people that yes, if it was a question of voting, all these laws, we take them. So we are sharing them out to ensure that we demonstrate that issue of inclusiveness. And that informed it.
All right. Let's hear from Farah Maalim. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Debarl, I have always myself advocated for a system of arriving at leaders of parliamentary committees that is the way it should be. And it's being practiced in many other developed countries in the world, and almost every developed country. When a committee is supposed to be chaired by a majority party, it's the members of that committee from that majority party who determine who becomes the leader of that party. When it's from a minority party, for example, Public Investments Committee or Public Accounts Committee, it's the members of that committee from that minority, opposition, who determine who should lead that party, that committee. Now, this business of the whole plenary of the committee coming together and choosing a leader does not serve the purpose, the object, and the spirit of the whole issue of having a committee in the first place. Because if it's a watchdog committee, then the majority party is going to get somebody amenable to them from the other side. I was being told about a committee right now where the person who is the chair got all the votes from Jubilee, got no vote from what do you call the NASA side, and he's the chair of the committee itself. So how is that committee going to play the proper watchdog role? It can't. So the leadership of the party sits down somewhere. They determine who becomes, we usually look for a ranking member basically somebody who has been in this business before. Unless, of course, at the rate of attrition of Kenyan Parliament, where we lose up to 85%, sometimes it's not possible to do that. But anyway, be that as it may, let the Jubilee members of that committee determine who leads that committee, if it's a committee that's going to be led by the party in power, or the party that has the numbers, the majority party itself. The same thing also for the minority. The moment you remove that, then a time will come, a renegade, I don't want to say a renegade in the sense that a progressive person, a very progressive person who basically is not in sync with his own party, but from the government side, can just disagree with his friends in the government, come to the opposition and tell them, look, I share a lot of ideals with me, help me become the leader of this committee. It defeats the purpose. That's a committee that's supposed to be led by the majority party in the House. You see what I mean? Okay. And then there are committees that are supposed to be led by the minority party or the minority coalition in the House, like the Public Investments Committee and the Public Accounts Committee. You see what I mean? Yes. So those are the areas that one has got to be very careful in the first place. The moment you remove that, then all these problems will end.
All right, thank you. Let's talk about the flare-ups in Mount Elgon. What could be stoking these flare-ups so far? Because you've had also the Deputy President really castigating some of the police officers who are rogue and are involved in, perpetrating these skirmishes that we're having in Mount Elgon. Let's begin with you, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni.
Perhaps the person who would inform us better would be the Senator Buizo. But I recall during the 10th Parliament, we went up to Mount Elgon, or even remember Mheshimiwa would be in a better position to tell us more. But that time was an issue that revolved around land. And there are settlement schemes that people don't seem to have agreed on how to share out land. If that is what has caused the flare-ups again, I think we would rather hear from the members who come near.
All right, let's hear from Senator Pogisio.
Yeah,
are you privy to any information?
Not quite privy, but I think Eseli, who comes from there, would probably know what the issues are. But we do know that this remnants of an existing situation could be the problem. The same issues that were not solved or resolved completely could arise, could raise these matters. Usually about this time, it's about planting season and land situations can exacerbate the situation. But I really would like to hear, because this is one thing that needs to be quickly dealt with, so that we don't have a repeat of the past situation. And I really hope that this is nipped in the bud. So that we can move on. That's a very, very sensitive area. But and I think my colleague here would probably.
All right, Eseli, you have an inkling?
I think this is historical. The marginalization of Mount Elgon has been long going for over 50 years, such that communication up on the mountain is very difficult. A road that was started earlier to be constructed, now is when this effort to try and complete it. This marginalization therefore made people appear to take up the law, become law unto themselves, so that you encourage sort of banditry mentality. And in this situation, for some time Mount Elgon has been calm, but in this situation, from what I hear, is a gang of a few people who appear to have either come from prison, recently released, or something of the sort, and they are well known. And they're the ones going around terrorizing the villagers. And of course, they want to hide into the issues of land problems in the Chepuk settlement scheme and things like that. But really, it is something that would have been nipped in the bud ages ago, if the infrastructure up in Mount Elgon had been dealt with much earlier for security purposes. Because considering that it's a border with Uganda, where small arms proliferation is very, very rampant. So that makes it easy for the gangsters to also acquire those weapons. But I think, because remember that even as we speak, there's a whole company of the military up there since 2008. There's been a whole company stationed there. There's a GSU camp and all that. So what is happening, in my view, is not an insurgency as such, because that would have been dealt with by the military and the GSU. This is a sort of a different kind of thing. It says that if they're just a handful of bandits running roughshod over the country, over the sub-counties of Mount Elgon, then it sort of goes beyond the military, which is more akin to dealing with the organized warfare, not guerrilla warfare as that may be. So in this situation, I think we blame ourselves for neglecting that area of the country for a very long time, and that to me is like a call for help, that we need to actually do much more up on Mount Elgon than we've done for the last 50 years.
Right, thank you. Let's see from David Makali, in regard to this, what we can see a resurgence also of Sabawati land defense forces that, of course, outlawed ragtag militia that is coming up. And you say some of them, they're being released from the prison. Could there be some of the SLDF that we're talking about this morning?
Yeah. Well, let me first agree with what Dr. Eseli is saying with regard to the grievances over the years that that particular part of Bungoma and Kenya generally has suffered. So there are deep-seated issues there which have to do with the land, with the lack of development access. Mount Elgon is one of those, is probably a very, very difficult terrain, and access and the activities of the people who live there are really strained. So there are a lot of challenges which could break out into these kinds of ventilation, violence and so forth. But this particular one, the resurgence of this particular one, is attributable, as far as we can tell, to two things. One, in the suppression of the Sabawati Land Defense Forces a couple of years ago, when the military went in and really brutally suppressed the militia, a lot of families were affected, and those souls and scars of that brutal suppression still exist. There is a lot of tension within the Mount Elgon area generally, from those who suffered from SLDF, as well as those who suffered the brutality of the military in suppressing the SLDF. Two, people were, imprisoned and so forth, and they've come out, some of them. And the gang that Honorable Eseli is talking about, there's a group called the 40 Brothers that appears to be the one behind the violence that is now going on. It's not a very organized force or anything, but is a militia, an organization, a small unit of remnants of the former SLDF, some of whom have come from jail and so forth. And they are trying to retake and find their bearing back in society. The problem is that there was no rehabilitation after the operation. There was no rehabilitation of those who were affected by the insurgency of the SLDF. So it's coming back. These are consequences of an operation which was never concluded with the social aspects being finalized, so that the people are restored and rehabilitated back into the community.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe in light of integration from these people who are coming from SLDF and now in the 40 brothers, could maybe the government also extend the amnesty that they're offering to terrorists who by Al-Shabaab and the rest, not just to concentrate on Al-Shabaab, but to concentrate on all any other terrorist? Maybe we can hear from Farah. Amnesty, did it work, first of all, and how can we also maybe briefly, sir?
Well, I think if an amnesty is structured in such a manner that it's not just an end in itself. It's not that just you give amnesty to these people and that's the end of it. They come back from wherever they were, they down their tools and the rest of it, and then when they come, they're left out again, they become pariahs in the society. There are a lot of things that basically happen to them. You can turn them even to more hardcore criminals again. So when you give an amnesty, you try and understand the problems those young people went through. If it's de-radicalization, you take them through that process also. Then you help them also with some kind of livelihood and the rest of it. So it's a process. You give an amnesty, but it is a process that is well thought out, properly structured, that has a beginning and that has an exit, in the sense that when they are able to be on their own, then they become very active members of society itself. We've never done that ourselves in this country.
The question is, should we also extend this sort of amnesty to the people who are, some of these...
That's why I'm telling you, when you're extending an amnesty itself, let it not just be a one-off thing in the first place. Because then, the grievances that were there before, there were issues that took them to the bush, like what you're talking about, or whatever they did, or in the case of Al-Shabaab. I believe, yes, let us extend it to them all, but let us also study it very well so that we are able to solve a problem not just as a stopgap, not just as a painkiller. You see what I mean? It is an elaborate thing, and we have many other stakeholders also who are involved in the religious sector, the government in itself, in that multi-sectoral basis, and address the problem.
Thank you. Let's hear from Jeremiah.
Yeah, thank you. Briefly, is during 10th Parliament, because that is when we went as members of the Defence Committee, we went up to the area, Mount Elgon, and we actually are the committee that recommended the establishment of the army and bringing in of the GSU, because it was clear to us the police, regular police, were not going to be able to deal with the issue that was there, and the background of it has been given. And the criminals, that is when we had the Matakwe, and only the army could have dealt with the team that he had assembled. When you talk about criminals, it seems we agree that there is a gang of young people who've decided to terrorize. We can talk about amnesty, but we have to be careful, because we have very many gangs that needs to be dealt with firmly by the security forces in this country, as opposed to extending herds of amnesty, because that again can be misused. Support defense forces is not any different from what we have as Mugikis and the rest. And when you start extending amnesty to such groupings, I think we also said the wrong thing. I wouldn't advocate for amnesty.
But we understand the issue of
if we can be able to identify some 10, 40 criminals, they should be dealt with family.
We need to take a short break right now. We'll circle back with you, Farah Maalim. We'll take a short break right now. When we come back, of course, we'll drill deeper on this and raft of other issues as well, and also take you back to some of the headlines that we had last week, and also the editorial cartoons that will be running side by side on a split screen for you to just, keep apprised of what was happening last week as well. Thank you. Don't go away.